How do you manage your time in a chess game? How do you make sure that you don't get in time pressure every time and then make silly mistakes at that point in the game? Well, this lesson is to wrap that up and make sure that we have a concrete approach when it comes to time management. Now, I'm going to show you guys what I've been doing myself, but I wanted to show it to you now because I actually have backup from a book. I saw this advice in a book and it's exactly what I've been trying to do myself. So I'm going to break this down for you and I'm going to give you concrete examples for you to see what they mean. Even though for the last 5-10 lessons, we've been talking about this in one way or the other. Now, a very good friend of mine not long ago told me, I have found out that when I play in time pressure, I play 200 points lower than what my strength is. And I don't know about you, but that's also my case. And guys, this same friend of mine, I asked him once for advice on how to avoid this. And he told me, you know what, one of the things that I like to do is logical moves like in this position that you have right here. I would not even think too much about a move like rook a to d1. Very natural, logical move. So do not overthink when you have simple moves to make like this one. And again, I don't know about you, but I found myself in this situation. There's a simple move that I know I'm going to do it anyways. And I spend 5, 7, 8, 10 minutes to decide when I should just do it right away. But then that's not enough, guys. Let me show you this other position where Anand shows us why he's such a great player, but more importantly, it is going to help us break down this advice. So the first thing that this grandmaster is saying is find a solid move. Now, in this position right here, Anand, he's playing Kamsky, another great player, and he ends up playing pawn to f4. So he really likes the idea of f4, e5. This has to be very powerful for the white pieces. Now, that solid move that we're seeing here on the first item would be a move that allows you to keep the tension, so keep your advantage, continue to make progress little by little, and that it doesn't require a lot of calculation. So if this move f4 comes to mind before you get into the tunnel, and that's when he says the tunnel means, okay, I found a candidate move that I like, I'm going to calculate until the end to see what the resulting position is. So before you get into that, have a move in mind, and then you give yourself 5 minutes. In this case, a move that makes a lot of sense is bishop e2, even bishop g2, just defending the pawn. Then I maintain my threat of playing f4, e5, but I already know that if I put 5 minutes into my calculation, it doesn't lead to anything concrete. Well, I'm going to just, like he says, go ahead and just make a move, even if it risks just missing something or not taking advantage of this opportunity. And guys, like he very well says later, if you don't do this, you're going to find yourself over and over and over calculating a lot, spending a lot of time and energy, and then not finding anything concrete anyways, getting into time trouble, and then right there you're just going to get in trouble because you are out of energy, you are out of time. So in this position, again, a move like bishop e2 or bishop g2 makes sense for you and me. And even he says, I'm a grandmaster, but I'm not at the level of Anand. And if you remember the lesson that we had with Grandmaster Avetik, very strong grandmaster from Armenia, he also said, oh, I remember when I played Anand, and Anand played me like if I were a kid. He was there chilling, not even trying, and he defeated me anyway. So Anand, Kamsky, Kramnik, these guys are a different level than other grandmasters. So even for grandmasters like Avetik, probably they look into this, it's not so clear, and they choose to just play something more solid like bishop g2, bishop e2, and not risk anything. Then we go f4 and e5. So again, I wanted to break this down for you. Let me give you just another 2 examples. This next one, you're going to, actually you've seen it before. We talked about this position where John Nunn in his book, he says how he had this position. His candidate moves were knight e to g5, knight f to g5, and bishop g5. Now, he decided to go with knight e to g5 simply because it was a powerful move, it puts pressure, and it maintains the advantage. But he didn't want to invest time and energy calculating knight e to g5, knight f to g5, bishop g5, then compare like we have talked about. So, and guys, the more I read about it, the more strong, experienced players say the same thing. It's not about being like a machine calculating everything, but knowing when to calculate, when not to calculate. Now, let me show you this third example. Here you have Kravnik with the white pieces, Kasparov with the black pieces, and this one is even more impressive because they were playing a rapid game. And at this point in the game, move number 23, they have, or Kravnik has, the very simple knight c4 move. Now, very practical. It is winning material on the spot, and we don't have to calculate a lot. So we save time, energy, and we collect material. Now, just to show you quickly here, if we play knight c4, I'm hitting the queen. What could they do? Well, if they played queen c5, we have knight e3, discovery on the queen. And if the queen goes to d6, well, we're going to have knight f5 with a very powerful fork, right? So all of the time, we simply go after the queen and the b4 pawn, and we simply gain material. Now, at this point, probably they would have to take on c4 and very easy game from that moment on. Now, Kramnik, just like Anand, they are at a different level. So what did he do? Well, instead, he plays bishop a6. Now, according to the engine, guys, if you look over here, notice how the engine is saying knight c4, 546 for the white pieces. With bishop a6, it goes down to 1.40 something. So this shows you how complex this topic is and how important it is that we talk about it and we keep reinforcing it. And last thing I wanted to say is that if you remember the lessons we've had on tactics, I typically give you a timer with 4 or 5 minutes. When I train and I'm doing my tactics, I put 4 or 5 minutes per exercise and I calculate. And in a real game, since that's what I do in training, well, if I get to a critical moment, I want to calculate, I give myself, I look at the clock, oh, I have 50 minutes left. Well, when the clock hits 45, 44, I'm going to just make my move. Whatever I decided I was going to play if this other variation didn't lead to anything concrete. So anyways, just for you to keep in mind, especially if you play tournaments, and I'm not saying this is the way to go, but it's definitely something for you to consider. So with that said, guys, let me know in the comments if you found it useful or not really, or if you have another strategies that you'd like to share with the rest of us.